I have lived long enough to know that words alone will not change your life. You can talk about your dreams, you can tell everyone what you want, you can keep saying, "One day I will." But saying is not the same as doing. Talking gives you the feeling of movement, but it does not take you forward. Action is what moves the needle. Action is what turns a dream into a reality. There comes a moment when you must stop waiting for the right time. There is no perfect moment. Life will never hand you the perfect set of conditions. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. The truth is, readiness comes after you begin, not before. The act of starting creates the path. Change does not happen because of one big, dramatic leap. It happens because of the small steps you take every single day. People think transformation comes from sudden breakthroughs, but it comes from daily choices. Waking up earlier, showing up consistently, putting in the work when no one is watching. That is what builds greatness. Discipline is the bridge between intention and success. Motivation will give you energy for a moment, but discipline will carry you through the long nights and the quiet mornings when no one is cheering you on. Keeping your promises to yourself over and over is how you build trust with your own spirit. Fear will always whisper that you are not ready. It will tell you that you might fail, that you might not be enough, but the only cure for fear is movement. Every step forward weakens its hold on you. And even if you stumble, even if you fall, failure is not the end. It is the lesson. It is information guiding you closer to the right way. And finally, remember that your future is not created by what you say you want. It is created by what you repeatedly do. Your daily habits, your circle of influence, the boldness with which you step into uncertainty. These are the things that define your destiny. Talk less, do more. Think less about someday, act more today. The life you want is waiting for you, but it will not wait forever. Don't just talk about it, live it. Don't just plan it, do it. Because your greatness will never be measured by the promises you make. It will always be measured by the actions you take. I have lived long enough to know that words alone will not change your life. You can talk about your dreams, you can tell everyone what you want, you can keep saying, "One day I will." You can write it down in a journal, post it on social media, tell it to your friends and convince yourself that because you said it, you've already done something about it. But saying is not the same as doing. Talking gives you the feeling of movement, but it does not take you forward. It is action that moves the needle. It is action that turns a dream into reality. There comes a moment when you must stop waiting for the right time. We often convince ourselves that tomorrow will be better, that next week will bring more energy, that one day we'll be ready. Let me tell you the truth. There is no perfect moment. Life will never hand you the perfect set of conditions. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Readiness does not come before the action. Readiness comes after you begin. It is in the act of starting that you build the strength, the wisdom, the momentum to keep going. The path is created only when you step onto it. I know what it feels like to doubt yourself. When I was 19 years old and offered my first job in television, I was terrified. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was ready, but I said yes anyway. I showed up, shaking inside, but determined to try. And it was in the doing that I learned, not in the planning, not in the waiting, not in the saying. The doing created the confidence I did not yet have. If I had waited until I felt ready, I would still be waiting. Change does not arrive in one big dramatic leap. We love to imagine that transformation comes in one defining moment, but the truth is, it comes through the small steps you take every single day. We are shaped by our routines. We are built by our habits. Waking up earlier, practicing longer, learning more, preparing when no one is watching, that is how greatness is built. Success is not an event, it is a process. It is the accumulation of small, consistent actions that eventually create big results. And that is why discipline matters so much. Motivation will come and go. Motivation can inspire you for a day, but discipline will carry you through the weeks, the months, the years. Discipline is the quiet force that keeps you moving forward when the feeling has left you. It is waking up when the alarm goes off, even when you want to stay in bed. It is writing the page when you don't feel inspired. It is going to the gym when no one is watching. Discipline is the promise you keep to yourself long after the excitement of motivation has faded. Consistency builds credibility. Every time you keep showing up, you are teaching yourself that you can be trusted. When I began my talk show, I didn't know if people would like me. I didn't know if they would stay with me. But I showed up every single day. I brought my best every time I stepped onto that stage. And over time, that consistency created connection. It created trust. It created legacy. When you are consistent, the world begins to believe you. But more importantly, you begin to believe yourself. Fear is the number one reason people stay stuck in talking instead of doing. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. And I know fear well. I've felt it many times in my life. But I also know the cure for fear. The cure is action. Fear cannot survive in motion. Every step you take forward weakens its grip. Every little act of courage proves to you that you are stronger than you thought. And even if you stumble, even if you fall, the act of trying gives you more than standing still ever will. Failure itself is not the enemy. Failure is information. It is feedback. It is guidance. I've made mistakes. I've had projects that didn't succeed. I've chosen things that didn't work out, but I never called them failures. I called them lessons. Each one carried something I needed to learn. Each one made me wiser, sharper, stronger. Every stumble was preparing me for the next climb. Do not fear failure. Fear standing still, and let us talk about the limitations you speak over yourself. Every time you say, I can't, you are building a wall around your own potential. Every time you say, I'm not ready, you close a door before it has a chance to open. When I was growing up, I was told many reasons why someone like me couldn't make it. I was poor, I was female, I was black, I was from Mississippi. If I had believed every limitation spoken over me, I wouldn't be here. I chose to believe in possibility, and when you choose to see possibility, you see opportunities that others overlook. The universe opens doors for those who dare to step toward them. Your circle matters. Who you surround yourself with matters. If you spend your time with people who only complain, who only talk, who only make excuses, their energy will weigh you down. But if you surround yourself with doers, with people who take action, with people who are moving forward, you will rise with them. Choose your company wisely, because your environment shapes your energy, and your energy shapes your destiny. Your future is not some mystery waiting to be revealed to you. Your future is written in the choices you make every day, the food you eat, the books you read, the conversations you allow, the thoughts you entertain, the decisions you repeat. These small things are not small at all. They are shaping the person you will become tomorrow. You do not build your future in a single leap. You build it brick by brick, habit by habit, action by action. And sometimes you have to leap before you feel ready. Sometimes you must say yes before you know how. When I chose to start my own network, many people told me it was too big, too risky, too difficult. And I will not lie to you. It was hard. There were setbacks. There were days when it felt impossible. But bold action creates momentum, and momentum carries you places planning never will. So my message to you is this: stop saying, start doing. Stop waiting for someday. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for permission. The only permission you need is your own. The life you want is waiting for you. The future you dream of is waiting for you, but it will not wait forever. Don't just talk about it, live it. Don't just plan it, become it. Because your greatness will never be measured by the promises you make. It will always be measured by the actions. I have learned something through all the years of living, failing, trying, and rising again. Words alone will not change your life. You can talk about your dreams until your voice grows tired. You can tell the world about the things you want to do. You can even write them down and convince yourself that speaking them is enough. But talking is not the same as moving. Saying you want to do something does not bring it to life. Only action does. Action is the language of progress. Action is the evidence of belief. Action is what turns an idea into a result. So many of us get caught in the loop of someday. Someday I'll start. Someday I'll take that risk. Someday I'll chase that dream. We put our goals in the safe box of tomorrow, believing there will be a perfect moment, a moment where all the lights turn green and the fear disappears. But let me tell you this, that perfect moment never comes. Life will not hand you a neatly wrapped opportunity where everything is certain. If you are waiting for perfect, you will be waiting forever. Readiness does not come before the action, it comes after. You become ready by beginning. You become strong by doing. I know this because I lived it. At 19 years old, I was offered my very first job in television. I didn't feel prepared, not even close. I was terrified. I thought I wasn't good enough, that somebody would figure out I didn't belong there. But I said yes anyway. I stepped into the role even with trembling hands and an anxious heart. And it was only in the act of doing the work that I learned I could do it. If I had waited until I felt ready, if I had sat back and said, one day when I'm prepared enough, I would have missed the opportunity that changed my entire life. Change rarely happens in a single dramatic leap. We imagine transformation as a lightning strike, one big moment that shifts everything. But the truth is, transformation is built in silence. It's built in daily decisions, the ones that seem small but carry enormous weight when repeated over time. When I was building my career, it wasn't one grand gesture that made the difference. It was showing up every single day, even when no one was watching, even when nobody was clapping, even when I wasn't sure it mattered. The small, consistent actions paved the way for the bigger dreams to unfold, and that is why discipline is so important. Motivation is beautiful, but it is fleeting. It rises with inspiration and disappears with fatigue. Discipline is different. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps you moving when the spark of motivation has gone out. It is the decision to honor your commitment to yourself, even when the feeling is gone. Discipline is what gets you up when you don't want to rise. It is what keeps you at the desk writing when the words won't flow. It is what drives you to practice when the excitement has worn off. Discipline is the proof that you meant what you said. Consistency builds trust, not just with the people around you, but with yourself. Every time you show up, every time you keep going, you are teaching yourself that you can be counted on. And when you build that kind of trust with yourself, there is nothing more powerful. When I started my talk show, there were no guarantees. I didn't know if people would connect with me, but I showed up every single day. I put everything I had into that space, and over time, that consistency created something far bigger than I imagined. It built a bond with millions of people, and it built a bond within myself. But the thing that keeps so many from even beginning is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. I know that fear, I've felt it many times, but here's the truth. The only cure for fear is movement. Fear shrinks when you take a step forward. The longer you stand still, the bigger it grows in your mind. The moment you begin, even trembling, even uncertain, you strip away its power, and yes, you will stumble. Yes, you will fall. I have fallen more than once. I have made choices that did not work out, taken risks that did not succeed. But every time I stumbled, I learned something valuable. Failure was never the end. It was the lesson. It was information guiding me closer to the right way. And so I want you to stop talking about what you cannot do. Stop repeating the reasons why it's impossible. Stop giving voice to the limitations. When I was growing up, people told me all the reasons why success was not for me. They said I was too poor, too black, too female, too small town. If I had believed their words, if I had let their limb, it's become my story, I would not be standing here today. Instead, I chose to believe in possibility. And when you believe in possibility, you start to see doors where others see walls. You start to notice opportunities where others only see obstacles. The people around you matter. The company you keep matters. If you spend your life surrounded by talkers, by complainers, by excuse makers, you will absorb their energy. But if you place yourself among doers, people who rise, people who act, people who live by example, then you too will begin to move in that direction. Energy is contagious. Choose wisely the energy you invite into your life. And do not forget that your future is not created by one big decision, but by thousands of small ones. What you read, who you listen to, how you spend your time, the choices you repeat every single day. Those small things are shaping the person you are becoming. Every decision is a vote for the life you want. The person you will be tomorrow is being built by what you do today. There will come a time when you must leap even if you do not feel ready. There will be moments when the dream is bigger than your preparation. And in those moments, you must step forward anyway. When I decided to start my own network, I did not feel fully ready. I was told it was too much, too big, too difficult, and I will tell you, it was not easy. There were setbacks, there were challenges, there were nights of doubt. But bold action creates momentum, and momentum creates results. So I stand here to tell you, stop saying, start doing. Stop promising yourself that you will begin someday. Stop waiting for permission, for the perfect moment, for someone else to tell you it is okay. The only permission you need is your own. The life you want is waiting. The future you dream of is waiting. But it will not wait forever. Do not just talk about it. Live it. I want to remind you of something important today. Words are powerful, but words alone will not change your life. You can talk about your goals. You can tell the world about your dreams. You can write them in a journal or speak them into the mirror every morning. You can even convince yourself that because you've said it enough times, somehow you've already done the work. But here's the truth. Talking is not the same as moving. Saying you want to do something is not the same as beginning. It may feel good to say it out loud, but it doesn't bring you any closer to the life you want. What brings you closer is the doing, the action, the movement. We all love the idea of someday. Someday I'll start my business. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll go back to school. Someday I'll live the life I dream about. But the problem with someday is that it never comes. There is no calendar date for someday. There is no alarm clock that will ring to tell you the time is now. And that's because the perfect moment you are waiting for does not exist. Life will not suddenly arrange itself into a neat and easy path. If you are waiting for all the lights to turn green before you leave your house, you will never leave. You cannot wait until you are completely ready, because readiness is not something you feel before you act. It is something you discover after you have already begun. I know this truth because I lived it. At 19 years old, I was offered my very first job in television. Let me tell you, I was not ready. I did not feel prepared. I was scared, I was uncertain, and I doubted myself in every way, but I said yes. I showed up anyway. I took the chance even though my knees were trembling, and it was only in the act of doing the work that I learned I could do it. If I had waited until I felt ready, I would still be waiting. The life you want is not built in one grand leap. It is built in small steps repeated day after day. People often imagine that change happens in one big moment, one life-altering event that flips everything upside down. But the reality is that transformation happens in silence, in ordinary days, in the choices that don't seem remarkable at the time. Every decision you make to try again, to wake up earlier, to practice longer, to learn more, to prepare when nobody is watching, those choices accumulate. They add up to something greater than you can see in the moment. And one day, you look back and realize those small steps created an entirely new path for your life. That is why discipline matters so deeply. Motivation is beautiful. It feels good. It lights a fire in you, but motivation does not stay. Motivation comes and goes with your moods, with your energy, with your circumstances. If you depend on motivation alone, you will stop as soon as the feeling leaves you. Discipline is what carries you forward when motivation is gone. Discipline is waking up when you do not want to, showing up when no one else is watching, keeping the promise long after the excitement has faded. Discipline is quiet. It is not flashy, but it is powerful, because discipline is the proof that you are committed. When you choose discipline, you build consistency, and consistency creates trust, not only with the people around you, but with yourself. Every time you follow through, you teach yourself that your word matters, that you can count on you. And when you trust yourself, you stop hesitating, you stop doubting, you stop needing approval from the world. You already know that when you say you'll do it, you will. Now I know the thing that keeps most people from moving is fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of trying and not being good enough. And fear is a real heavy thing, but there is only one cure for fear: action. Fear cannot survive in motion. The longer you stand still, the more it grows. But the moment you take a step forward, even a shaky one, fear begins to shrink. Each time you move, even if you stumble, even if you fall, you prove to yourself that you can survive. You learn something new. You gain strength. Failure itself is not the enemy. Failure is information. Failure is guidance. Failure is a teacher pointing you toward what needs to change. I have failed many times, and each time it shaped me. Each time it made me stronger, sharper, clearer. The only real failure is never trying at all. And I want you to be careful about the words you speak to yourself. Every time you say, "I can't," you build a wall around your potential. Every time you say, "I'm not ready," you close a door that could have been opened. I grew up hearing reasons why someone like me couldn't make it. I was told I was too poor, too black, too female, too small town. If I had accepted those limits, I would never have taken the steps that led me here. But I chose to believe that possibility existed. I chose to believe that my story could be different, and belief gave me courage to act. The people you surround yourself with will also shape your path. If you live among complainers, you will complain. If you spend time with people who only talk but never move, you will begin to do the same. But when you are surrounded by doers, people who rise, people who push forward despite fear, people who show discipline and courage, you will be pulled in that direction too. Energy is contagious. Protect yours carefully. And do not forget, your future is not some mystery waiting to surprise you. Your future is being built in every choice you make today. What you read, how you spend your time, what you say yes to, what you say no to, what you repeat every single day. These are the bricks that build your tomorrow. You are voting for the person you want to become with every action you take now. Sometimes you will need to leap before you feel ready. You will need to say yes before you know how it will all work out. I have taken those leaps, and they were not easy. When I started my own network, it was a dream bigger than I had ever imagined, and many people told me it was impossible, and there were setbacks, there were challenges. There were nights I wondered if I had made a mistake, but bold moves create momentum, and momentum opens doors that waiting never will. So I am telling you now, stop saying and start doing. Stop promising yourself someday. Stop waiting for someone else to give you permission. The only permission you need is your own. The life you want is waiting for you, but it will not wait forever. Do not just talk about it. Live it. Do not just plan it. Become it. Because greatness will never be measured by the promises you make. It will always be measured by the actions you take. I want you to think for a moment about all the times you've said you were going to do something. Think about the moments you promised yourself that you would start that new project. Take care of your health. Apply for that opportunity, or finally pursue that dream that's been sitting in your heart for years. You felt inspired in the moment. Maybe you told your friends, maybe you even shared it on social media, and you said, "I'm going to do this." But then life kept moving, distractions came, and you never took that first real step. You kept saying it, but nothing changed, and the truth is, nothing changes until you start doing. Talking will never be enough. Words without action are just empty sounds. The universe does not respond to what you say, it responds to what you do. It's so easy to fall in love with the idea of someday. We tell ourselves, someday I'll save money, someday I'll start exercising, Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll live the life I've imagined. But someday is a dangerous word. Someday is a thief that steals your time and convinces you that you still have forever. The reality is, there is no perfect moment coming. There's no magic day where all the fear is gone, where you suddenly feel completely ready, where every obstacle has cleared. If you are waiting for perfect conditions, you will wait forever. Readiness doesn't come before you begin, it comes after. You become prepared by stepping into the work. You become confident by doing the thing that once scared you. You don't wait to feel brave, you build bravery by acting while afraid. I know what that feels like. When I was 19 years old, I was offered my very first job in television, and let me tell you, I was terrified. I didn't think I was qualified. I didn't feel ready. I thought somebody was going to find out I didn't belong there. But even with trembling hands, I said yes. I walked into that opportunity not knowing how it would go, but determined to learn along the way. If I had waited until I felt prepared, I would have missed the moment that changed my life. And that's the truth for all of us. The doors that matter will not wait for you to feel ready. You have to walk through them while your knees are shaking. Success doesn't arrive in one dramatic, sweeping moment. It's not a lightning strike that comes down from the sky and transforms everything. Success is built in silence, in the daily decisions no one sees. It's built in the mornings when you wake up early, in the evenings when you choose to keep practicing, in the moments when you stay focused while everyone else is distracted. It's the small choices that don't look extraordinary at first, but add up to extraordinary over time. You may not see the progress right away, but day after day, the little steps become something bigger than you imagined. And that's why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is wonderful, but it is fleeting. It comes when you feel inspired, but it disappears when you're tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. Discipline is different. Discipline is the steady force that keeps you moving even when the spark is gone. It's what makes you show up when nobody is clapping for you. It's what drives you to honor your commitment to yourself, even when the excitement has faded. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It's the proof that you mean what you say. When you practice discipline, you build consistency, and consistency creates trust. Not only trust with others, but trust with yourself. Every time you show up, every time you follow through, you're sending yourself a message. I can rely on me. I keep my word, and once you build that kind of trust with yourself, you become unstoppable, because doubt begins to fade when you have evidence of your own resilience. You don't just hope you can do it. You know you can, because you've been showing yourself every day. But let's be honest. Fear is often the thing holding us back. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what other people might say, fear of stepping out of line. I've known that fear many times, and here's what I've learned. Fear grows bigger the longer you wait. Fear feeds on hesitation, but the moment you move, even if you stumble, even if you fall, fear begins to shrink. Action cuts fear in half, and failure is not the enemy. Failure is a teacher. Failure gives you information. Every time you stumble, you learn a lesson you could not have learned any other way. I have failed many times, and each of those failures shaped me into who I am. The only real failure is never trying at all. That's why you must also be careful with your own words. Every time you say, I can't, you are training your mind to believe it. Every time you say, I'm not ready, you are closing a door on your own future. When I was young, people told me all the reasons why I wouldn't succeed. They said I was too poor, too black, too female, too small town. If I had repeated those words to myself, I would have never moved forward. Instead, I chose to believe in possibility, and when you believe in possibility, you find the strength to act. Who you surround yourself with matters too. If you are surrounded by people who only talk but never act, who complain but never change, who make excuses for everything, you will start to do the same. But if you spend your time with people who are bold, people who take risks, people who follow through, their energy will lift you higher. Energy is contagious. Choose the energy you let into your life carefully. And remember, your future isn't something far away that just happens to you. Your future is being created right now. Every decision you make today is building the person you'll be tomorrow. What you read, how you spend your time, the choices you repeat day after day, these are the bricks of your future. You are shaping your destiny right now with what you do and what you don't do. There will come a time when you must leap before you feel ready. You must take action before you know exactly how it will work out. That's how every great journey begins. When I launched my own network, I didn't have all the answers. I was told it was too big, too risky, too difficult. And there were moments when I doubted myself, but I took the leap anyway, and though it was not easy, that bold action created momentum, and momentum creates opportunity. So I want to leave you with this. Stop saying and start doing. Stop telling yourself someday. Stop waiting for permission, for certainty, for the perfect time. The only permission you need is your own. The life you want is waiting for you, but it will not wait forever. Don't just talk about it. Don't just plan it. Live it, do it, become it. Because greatness is never measured by the promises you make. It is measured by the actions you take. Fear is something we all know. It sits quietly in the back of your mind, whispering doubts, convincing you to hesitate, persuading you to stay in a place that feels safe but stagnant. Fear tells you that if you try, you might fail, and if you fail, people might laugh, people might judge, and you might have to face disappointment. Fear makes promises it cannot keep. It promises safety, but really, it traps you. It promises security, but what it truly gives you is limitation. Every time you listen to fear, you shrink. Every time you let fear decide for you, your world becomes smaller. But here's the truth. Action is the antidote to fear. Action is the force that breaks fear down to size. You cannot think your way out of fear. You cannot talk your way out of fear. The longer you sit with it, the bigger it grows, the more it takes root inside of you. Fear feeds on stillness, but the moment you begin to move, the moment you take that first step, something changes. Your mind begins to shift. Your body starts to follow. Suddenly, fear isn't as powerful as it seemed. It starts to crumble under the weight of your decision to act. Think about it. The first day you walk into a room full of strangers, your heart pounds, your palms sweat, your mind races. But the moment you start a conversation, the moment you speak, you realize it's not as frightening as you imagined. The moment you pick up the pen and write the first sentence, the book doesn't feel impossible anymore. The moment you lace up your shoes and take that first run, the mountain of fitness goals becomes just one step at a time. The act of doing is what weakens the grip of fear. It is never as terrifying once you are in motion as it is in your imagination. And yes, sometimes action leads to failure. Sometimes you will try and it won't work. Sometimes you will give your best and it won't be enough. Sometimes you will fall short, but failure itself is not the enemy. Failure is not the proof that fear was right. Failure is the evidence that you were brave enough to move. It is the teacher that arrives with every stumble. It shows you what doesn't work. It shows you what needs to change. It shows you the gaps you couldn't see before you started. Without failure, there is no growth, because there is no learning. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. I have failed many times. I have walked into projects that didn't turn out the way I hoped. I have trusted people who didn't always deliver. I have poured energy into dreams that sometimes took years longer than I imagined. But every failure shaped me. Every failure carried a message. Some of those failures redirected me toward paths I never would have considered if everything had gone according to plan. And often, it was only because of failure that I gained the strength and clarity I needed to succeed later. You see, fear tells you failure will destroy you. Action shows you failure will transform you. Every time you fail, you become wiser, tougher, and more prepared. Failure teaches you resilience. It teaches you that disappointment is not the end of your story, it's just a chapter. And when you keep turning the pages, you realize that the chapter of failure often sets the stage for the chapter of triumph. The most successful people you admire are not people who never failed. They are people who failed and failed again and still chose to rise. They are people who understood that every setback was not a signal to quit, but a sign to adjust, to sharpen, to improve. They did not let fear of failure hold them hostage. They acted anyway. They trusted that even in failure, they were moving closer to who they were meant to become. The real tragedy is not in failing. The real tragedy is in never trying, because if you never try, you never know what you are capable of. You never discover the depths of your strength, the size of your courage, the beauty of your resilience. You never taste the satisfaction of victory because you never risk defeat. Life does not reward you for what you say you will do. It rewards you for what you dare to attempt. And here is something powerful. Action itself builds confidence. You don't wake up one day suddenly confident enough to take the leap. You build confidence by leaping. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you can. Every time you take a risk, even a small one, you gain evidence that you are stronger than fear. And over time, that evidence becomes belief. You stop needing courage before you move. You start understanding that courage grows because you moved. So if you are standing in front of a decision and fear is loud, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen if I try? If I fail, will I survive? Will I learn? Will I grow? And then ask yourself the other question, what's the cost if I never try? What opportunities will slip away? What potential will I never see? What life will I never live because I chose fear over action? And almost always, the cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of failure. The life you dream about will not come to you because you wished for it. It will not arrive because you said it out loud. It will come because you acted, because you dared, because you tried when it was uncomfortable, because you moved when fear told you to freeze. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of action and failure. You cannot separate the two, so take the step, make the call, write the page, show up for the workout, start the business, apply for the opportunity, speak your truth. It doesn't matter if your voice shakes. It doesn't matter if you fall. What matters is that you do, because action conquers fear, and through every failure you are not breaking. You are becoming. Destiny is not something that simply happens to you. It's not some grand event that arrives one day to sweep you into the life you've always imagined. Destiny is not waiting for you at the end of the road. It is being shaped by every step you take along the way. The life you will live tomorrow is being written right now in the choices you make today. And those choices, repeated again and again, become habits. And your habits are what create your destiny. We often think our lives are determined by big moments, graduations, promotions, opportunities, failures, and yes, those moments matter. But they are not what truly define the direction of your life. What defines you are the daily patterns you choose, the rituals you follow, the things you do over and over, even when no one is watching. Because those are the things that build who you are becoming. Words are easy. You can say, I want to be healthy. But if your daily habit is neglecting your body, then your destiny will follow that path. You can say, I want to be successful. But if your daily habit is procrastination, then that will shape your future. You can say, I want to live with purpose. But if your habits are built around distractions, excuses, and avoidance, then your destiny will drift further from your words. Habits are powerful because they are not single choices. They are repeated choices, woven into the fabric of your life until they become second nature. You don't rise to the level of your wishes. You fall to the level of your habits. You don't become what you say you want. You become what you consistently do. If you want to see your future, look at your habits. They are the clearest mirror of where you are going. Think of a sculptor working with stone. One strike of the hammer does not create the statue. One motion does not reveal the masterpiece. It is the steady, repeated rhythm, the countless strikes day after day, That slowly reveals the form hidden inside. That's what habits do. They chip away at who you are not, and they shape who you are becoming. If your habits are careless, the sculpture will never emerge. But if your habits are deliberate, if they are aligned with your vision, over time they will carve your life into something extraordinary. The problem is, we often underestimate small habits. We think they don't matter. We think missing one day of exercise is no big deal. Skipping 1 hour of work won't change much. Spending one evening lost in distraction won't make a difference. But those small choices compound. They either build momentum toward your dream or drift you further away from it. Excellence is not created by one big decision. It's created by the thousands of small ones you make in the quiet hours when no one is watching. That's why words alone cannot save you. Words can inspire you. They can ignite a spark. They can remind you of what's possible. But without habits to back them up, they fade away. Every year people make resolutions. They say, "This is my year." They speak their goals out loud, and for a little while they feel powerful. But within weeks, the words are forgotten because they never built the habits that turn intention into reality. Dreams die not because they are impossible, but because they are not supported by daily discipline. So ask yourself, what are the habits you are living with right now? What do you do in the first hour of your morning? What do you do in the last hour before you sleep? How do you spend the hours in between? Because your destiny is hiding in those routines. If you wake up each day and feed your mind with negativity, that is what will shape your life. If you wake up each day and feed your mind with focus, gratitude, and determination, that too will shape your life. Your habits are either lifting you toward your destiny or pulling you away from it. And the beauty of habits is this: they are within your control. You cannot control everything that happens in your life. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can control what you do every single day. You can control whether you choose discipline or distraction. You can control whether you build strength or neglect it. You can control whether you use your time wisely or waste it. And when you take ownership of your habits, you take ownership of your destiny. It doesn't happen overnight. Change never does, but that's the point. Destiny is not shaped by one dramatic moment. It's shaped by the quiet consistency of daily living. Every morning, you rise and choose to live with purpose. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you practice discipline instead of surrendering to excuses, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Over time, those votes add up. They become evidence, they become identity, they become destiny. So if you want to change your life, don't just change your words, change your habits. Don't just say what you want, live in a way that reflects it. Don't just speak of dreams, create the daily routines that make them possible. When your habits are aligned with your vision, your future will unfold in ways you cannot even imagine. But if your habits are out of alignment with your vision, no amount of words will save you. Because destiny listens less to what you say and more to what you repeatedly do. The life you want is waiting for you, but it will not wait forever. Every day you choose, and every choice becomes a thread in the fabric of your destiny. Your words might set the direction, but your habits do the walking. Your words might light the spark, but your habits keep the fire burning. And when you look back years from now, it won't be the promises you made that tell the story of your life. It will be the habits you lived by. Your destiny doesn't live in your words. It lives in your habits.